Hi guys, Jo here with another Time for Tea Designs video. This card is the second from our Facebook Live session that we did on Thursday evening, and this one features our elephants, our Elephantastic stamp set, which is newly restocked. So it's back in the shop ready for you guys to grab hold of if you've been waiting for it. I've already had my background stamped up, so in the session this week I was using some bits that were in my stash. So the background that you see there was one that I already had done previously, and I really wanted to use it to create a scene with these little elephants. So I've stamped them out with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, which is Copic friendly, and I'm now using my Copic markers to colour them up. And I'm just using two shades of my markers this time, the E70 and E71, which are the champagne type colour. So they're not as grey, they're a little bit of a warmer grey and have a little bit of a pinky tone to them, which I think is a really nice colour for our little elephants. So I'm just using those two shades just to create a little bit of depth there. Nothing too complicated, just keeping it really nice and simple. And then the little accessories that I've stamped out are the kite and our little bird. So I'm using some shades of blue, as I felt that they would really stand out against our background and would go really nicely. So these will kind of be my accent colour, and there will just be a little bit of a pop in the foreground. So the colours that I've used are the B02 and the B05, and then some lovely bright yellows with the Y02, and I think it was the Y06, just to add a little bit of colour to our little bird's chest. So now they've been coloured up, I've just used the coordinating dies to cut those out, and while they're going through the die cutting machine, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I do already have one sentiment cut out, again, that was in my stash, which is the hug sentiment, and I've got that layered up on some vellum. So I'm going to add the sentiment big, which is in the Elephantastic stamp set, to the middle top portion of my background using some embossing ink and some white embossing powder. So I'm just setting that in place. I did use my anti-static bag as well, you'll notice there, just to make sure that there are no bits clinging to my background, as I did use Distress Oxide ink to create that. So now I'm just arranging my images onto my background, and I realised that I needed a little bit of something extra, something in that middle foreground there. So this is where I'm going to use some of my other stamp sets. So I've got a few of them out just to have a look at what accessories there are within those, and this is a great way to mix and match all of your different stamp sets. So our moveless stamp set has this little bit of grass, and it also has some little flowers as well. So I did wonder whether a little flower in the elephant's trunk would be a nice little touch, but I definitely wanted to use this bit of grass. So because I didn't want it to stand out too much from my background, I did decide to stamp that out using some of my Distress Oxide ink, that the same colour that I used for the grassy area of my background. I'm also pulling out this little letter that was from the You Snailed It stamp set, because I did want to add something to that elephant's trunk. So I'm just going to stamp out my grass, and I've stamped it out a few times just in case they didn't turn out quite how I wanted. I wanted a few versions just to be able to choose from. And I've just added some of that ink onto my acrylic block there, and I'm using a wet paintbrush just to pull some of that ink colour into my grass. This will then give me a nice seamless colour that matches perfectly with my background. So I'm happy with the two versions that I've created there. So I'm going to use the coordinating die just to cut that bit of grass out. And while that's die cutting, I'm going to colour in this little envelope. So our little elephant is going to be carrying a little gift, little card to give to his friend. And I've just fussy cut that out, as there isn't a coordinating die with that particular set. So you can see there that my little bit of grass makes that the perfect little area for our little bird to be peeking out from, but it does need a little bit of something extra. So within that same moverless stamp set, I have these little flowers. So one of the flowers is a solid image. So I've just stamped that out in some of my Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink, and I'm using my paintbrush just to add a little bit more depth of colour to that. And then I'm going to use my Copic markers to colour in the other two flowers. So I've used the same blue shades that we used previously to colour up our kite and our little bird, so everything will coordinate and will match. I do have coordinating dies for these, so I'm going to use those to cut out our little flowers now, and I'm going to cut all of them out, but I may not necessarily use them all. So I've just used some of my glossy accents to attach the kite to our first elephant, and then I'm just cutting a little slip where the little trunk meets the face of our elephant, just so that I can slot that little envelope behind his trunk there. I've used some of my liquid glue just to attach my sentiment in the background. So that's one that I'd already pre-cut. It's our Hugs die cut, which comes with the shadow, and I've used some vellum to create the shadow behind it. And I've kept that flat because I want our little elephants to sit in front of it. So I'm using some of my foam squares to add some dimension to these little guys. And then I'm just positioning them just in front of our sentiment. And I hadn't quite positioned him exactly where I wanted, so I did have to do a little bit of manoeuvring, but thankfully his little foot covered up the little bit of foam that was left on our background. I'm just adding some more foam tape to our second elephant, popping him on the other side, and now we can arrange our little scene at the front with our little bit of grass. So in order for our little bird to pop up in front of that, I'm just adding a tiny little bit of blue along the bottom so that the little bits of grass will stick up so that we can add our little bird behind them. And I'm using again some of my glossy accents just to attach each of these little flowers, and some of my liquid glue there just to pop in behind, and he can just sit behind those strands of grass poking out, which I think looked really cute, and is just a nice extra little detail, and is a really nice way of using all my different stamp sets to create this really sweet scene. To finish it off, I'm using some of our new enamel dots, and I did test whether the black would look good, but I really thought that the white went well with the white paint splatters that are on the background already. So I just used a few of those to add some extra interest. I really hope that you enjoyed our video today. If you did, it'd be great if you could like and subscribe to our channel. I'll be back again with some more videos for you again real soon. Thanks again for watching. See you soon. Bye bye now.